Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Why Ukraine live stream. I feel like I've forgotten to do something today, but there we are. I am here in Ukraine. For those of you who don't know, it's a nice, cold, snowy day today in the middle of March. It's been cold and sunny here. We're going to talk about what's going on inside Ukraine and with regards to Ukraine and the rest of the world. I want to thank everybody who's watching. If you're watching this live stream, it means you support Ukraine. You're a big supporter. I understand I don't get a lot of attention, but that's okay because the people who come and the people who watch, I know that they're the real Ukraine supporters out there. And today we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, I know if you're like me, you're constantly thinking about what more you can do, and you only have a limited amount of money and a limited amount of time, and you want to do more for Ukraine, and it's frustrating, and you don't know how, and it keeps you awake at night. It does me. I'm just pouring my tea here this morning, so we're going to spend some time talking about that. Perhaps after we go through the news, once some people join us. It was brought to my attention that there's a fundraiser happening, and I'm hoping that somebody can join. Oh, Mark, you're first. Woo! It was brought to my attention on some Discord channels that there's a fundraiser going on for this block of 5 snatch armored Land Rovers in the UK. I'm hoping somebody can give me some more information about that because it sounds really interesting, and I want to talk more about that. Of course, the big news, which I'm sure everyone's seen, is this, right? So, Battalions launched an offensive before the presidential election in Russia. Anti-Kremlin, it's the Freedom of Russia and the Siberian Legion. I think it's amazing. It's fantastic. The first time this happened, I was like, yeah! Maybe I'm a bit more circumspect now because I realize that it's not, this is not to take territory. This is just really to provide, I wouldn't say maybe distraction is the wrong word, but more likely it's a propaganda. It's a psyop, in the context of the quote unquote elections, the fake elections in Russia. Of course, this is all going to be, covered up or what's the word I'm looking for? Propagandized away within the Russian media. That's the problem, right? But it's an important step. It's nonetheless, I feel good about it. It's great, but I'm not gonna, make such a big rah-rah session about it that I did the first time this happened, or that I felt the first time this happened. So obviously there's nothing marked on the deep state map because there's, it's a delay. There's always these covert operations. What's interesting about this assault, and Artur Rehi yesterday was talking about this. What's interesting about this assault is What's interesting about this assault is that we might be looking at an early example a first example of combined arms, true hybrid warfare operations on the part of, arguably the first example, okay, on the part of the, oh, hello, Catherine. Thanks for coming. So what I was saying, we might be looking at the first combined arms operation, the first true hybrid warfare operation, because it wasn't just this. It was also, okay, also this attack. So this is a counterattack that occurred. Okay, so I've been talking for a couple of weeks now about my concerns about a large what do you say? A large accumulation of Russian forces here. With, the Russians are looking at trying to retake Kupiansk, and as we know, Ukraine has requested citizens evacuate from whole swaths of border areas in anticipation of counterattacks in various places. But this has been a concern. I've heard numbers of like 40,000 troops, something like that. So to me, this is actually the more significant strategically on the battlefield attack. Now we won't. I don't think we will know how much. How many Russian forces were taken out, but this is in anticipation of this. This is a written article coming from reporting from Ukraine. So Ukraine has reporting from Ukraine has a video about this. But yeah, so it was a counterattack essentially, or an anticipatory counterattack. So reporting from Ukraine does a really good job of going through, just exactly how this all kind of broke down. Which, is this is a really good report. I'm not going to go through and read it all, because basically I'm stealing from reporting from Ukraine's views at this point. It's literally, it's his entire transcript from his video and screenshots from his video. So I'd rather you go and watch reporting from Ukraine and get that update. But it is very interesting. There were these attempted encirclements. Pretty amazing, pretty cool stuff. But so we've got that part. So we've got, first of all, the Russian Freedom Legion and Siberian Legion, I guess. Plus, we've got this attack. Plus, apparently, some drone attacks. Some people are saying the largest Ukrainian drone attack so far, but into Russia, I mean, taking out oil refinery and fuel depot inside Russia in the Nizhny Novgorod Oblast, which is very close to Moscow, right between Moscow and St. Petersburg. So that's a big deal. And although I don't have the report in front of me, I think I failed to. Yeah, I don't have the article in front of me. But also a major cyber attack, all at the same time. Now, is this an example of some kind of coordination, divisions of the Ukrainian army, and an example of what we might see going forward? I'd like to think so. I don't know, but that's kind of Arturehi's viewpoint on it, and If so, I think it's a step in the right direction, because lack of coordination. Hi, Gregory. Thanks for coming. Tretia Slovaka. Thanks for coming. Yeah. So it's positive developments. Okay. Silver lining, dark clouds. Yeah. Because ultimately we're still waiting on my country, on the United States. Right. So, we're getting little drips and drabs. Okay. $3 billion sounds like a lot, but not in this war. But it's good. So EU aims to fast track. Now, I just complain. I almost didn't want to talk about this because it makes me angry that when I see these sort of promises made or allusions to promises, and then it gets dragged out and dragged out and dragged out. EU aims to fast track up to 3 billion. So I've talked about this before, but July, that's good. Here's the problem. Russia wants to win this war by the end of April. So, I hope that what I will say about it is I hope that I should have gone to this article myself already. I hope that those shells that are being delivered by the Czechs, I hope that they are well on their way. Let's see if we can find that. Oh boy. Okay, I had the article up in front of me. Czech shells, Ukraine. So apparently, it is fully funded. So they said that it was fully funded, and then they said it wasn't fully funded. And so now it looks like they are fully funded. It's going back and forth. Czechia finds 200,000 more artillery shells. So this is going to keep on going. Let's hope. District 5. Thanks, Greg. Greg says, I am from District 5, Virginia. I'm not letting my my representative, Bob Good, forget about aid to Ukraine. Thank you, Gregory. I do appreciate that. District 5, do you mean like from Hunger Games? Or do you mean the representative electoral District 5? I'm confused. I don't know my Hunger Games lore enough. Okay, so, but this is a big deal. If this is really happening. Now, 300,000 shells, 200,000, 300,000 shells, realistically, that is about what Ukraine, at a minimum, should receive per month in order to not lose this war. I'm not going to say win this war, but not lose this war. In order to match the number of shells that Russia is getting and using. Maybe even a little bit less. Yeah, you're right, Gregory. So Gregory says, even if those shells are not there already, the knowledge that they will arrive in some specific time frame allows more shells to be used out of Ukrainian reserves. That's a really fair point, because a lot of people have been talking about, it looks like Ukrainians are getting shells now. Reports from the front line. And it may not be that they're getting more. It may not be that they're getting more shells. It may be just as you said. they feel that they're able to spend more out of their reserves because they know they're going to get more. Let's hope they're right, man. Yeah, well, I've already messed up the order of things I was going to talk about, but there we are. Cheryl, what's going on? Thanks for coming. Something blonde. Thanks for joining. Okay. So I'm positive about this situation. I'm positive about what's happening here. These are good things. This is an interesting article talking about the protests in Poland and the it's talking about how and why it's not just a Russian operation. Okay, it's also being caused by Russia. It's a very interesting that this Mr. Kujawski, seems to be a Polish name. So it's a very interesting point. So what he's saying here in this article is that so it says Russian assets in Poland tried to undermine relations with Ukraine. Okay, but that's not really the point of his article, unfortunately. What he says here is that yes, there are Russian spies and embassy and sponsors of this that are sponsors of these protests and kind of getting the farmers riled up to do this stuff. It's very interesting that they're all waving Polish flags now, whereas before some of them were waving, Russian flags and all kinds of other stuff. So clearly their handlers have realized, hey, we need to get a handle on this and make sure that our messaging is clear. But the point that is made in this article is that it's not Ukrainian grain that's causing the price of Polish wheat and grain to be to come down. Okay, that's not what's causing the farmers to be unable to sell Polish grain. Okay, not that much Polish grain even came to Ukraine, and when it did, it was last year. There's no more there's no more Ukrainian grain coming into Poland. It comes through Poland. The only stuff that's coming into Poland is the stuff that the protesters themselves are releasing, spilling out of the train cars. Again, another Russian operation. In fact, the reason that the Polish farmers can't sell their grain is because Russia, using its stolen Ukrainian occupied lands, is selling wheat from Russia at a massive discount because they're trying to get that's the only other way. The oil reserves are being cut off. They're not being sold as much from Russia. And so what else does Russia have? Well, they, at the start of the war, were the world's largest wheat grower, I believe, or world's largest wheat exporter. The U.S. is the largest wheat grower, but we don't export all of it. So they are dumping their... Hey, Travis, thanks for coming. So that they're dumping their grain on the market, and it's driving down the international price of grain. Okay? So, and that is why it says here, wheat on the world markets today costs not $350 per metric ton, $350, but $210. So the base level, and this is why in the last month or a few weeks, like Ukrainska Pravda, for example, they were trying to document Russian wheat coming across the Belarusian border into Poland to be sold on the Polish and EU markets. Right? So it's exactly the same. It's the same thing that the Russians are doing, for example, in Africa and the Middle East, and have been doing for the last 10 years, trying to cause chaos in the world, okay, in Africa, in the Middle East, so that to cause a bunch of refugees. And where are the refugees going to go? These displaced people in Syria and in parts of Africa, where are they going to go? They're going to try to go to where they can best make a living. They're going to try to go to Europe or maybe America, but mostly Europe. The result of that is that people in Europe are afraid of all these refugees showing up. When people are afraid, who do they vote for? Who do they vote for? Almost always, they vote for conservatives. They vote for the right wing. The right wing politics is all about the politics of fear. So Trump, what is he all about? They're invading our country. There's an invasion on the border. And I mean, there is some reason to fear in this world, but the Russians here are deliberately causing Poles to misplace their fear. These Polish farmers, they're getting used. Okay, and someday they're going to realize it. But we here in the West really just have some ineffective messaging, and I'm going to argue about that. Yeah, Gregory, exactly. I talked about it last week or the week before. So, and Polish security seized the journalist's camera and flash drives, and the Polish security reformatted the media. Yep. Yeah. So, Cheryl, that's a very interesting point. Could European countries buy American shells? I mean, maybe that's where a lot of these shells are coming from too. Yeah, something blonde, exactly. They do it everywhere. They flood refugees to the West. And the thing is these right-wing governments, then, because they are in general isolationist, and in general more in line with Russia's own political ideas, frankly, about backsliding of democracy, ideas about all of our culture wars that we're having. What they're doing is they're actually building, maybe not allies, but they're trying to build or rebuild a 19th century world where you have empires and interests, and everybody's always at war with each other. Anyway, all right. I think this is a really important step right here. And I don't know if this got reported by anybody, but I think it's worth talking about. So I must confess that I don't completely understand yet what is the EU's governmental structure and how their balance of powers, if there is one, works within the context of, the EU Parliament, what is there? There's the Council. Okay, I'm getting mixed up. There's the European Parliament. Then there's the European Commission. Okay. And then there's the European Council. And I don't completely understand how they all work. I know the European Parliament, EU government structure. Let's take a look. See if we can get a image here. Come on, Wikipedia. Help me out. What? Lame. Oh my God. This is okay. We can try this one. Yeah. No. Here we go. Open image in new tab. Okay. So here we have, and forgive me, my browser is on forced dark mode. I have it hard coded into my browser, so it doesn't always show up the same. Right. So yeah, it's kind of a vaguely balance of powers. So we have a Council of Ministers, European Commission, and European Parliament. And the European Parliament is the larger group. So they would be like our Congress, essentially. And I guess the European Commission is like the executive branch, basically. Something like that. Well, okay. Anyway. The European Parliament is pissed, is the point here, okay? That their executive branch, let's call it, the European Commission, has been so soft on Hungary. And so they are suing the Commission and the Council in EU court to stop the so the trade-off for the half-hearted half measure of Orban allowing Ukraine to potentially join the EU, although there's all kinds of hoops and obstacles to that. The only way that Orban signed off on that was when the European Commission agreed to unfreeze 10 billion euros for Hungary. These 10 billion euros were frozen because Hungary is not abiding by the EU's rules of democracy and rules of law. Basically, the EU has found on multiple occasions that Hungary is basically a quasi dictatorship. On the order of, frankly, of Russia. I saw a statistic yesterday that their political freedom of speech rating is somewhere between Malaysia, which is a Muslim country, and Benin in Africa. So this is a good thing. It basically, the leadership. This is the problem we constantly have in America and in the EU. The leaders don't want to be leaders. They want to compromise. They want to appease. But the representatives in the EU Parliament who are elected by the people are saying, no. We're not going to tolerate this business. So we'll see what comes of it. I think it's a good thing. Another good thing that the European Parliament is doing is, and I'm shocked. I was shocked to find out that this didn't exist before. Okay, but the European Parliament votes to criminalize violation and circumvention of EU sanctions. Did you know that it wasn't a criminal violation in the EU to to send whatever you want or buy whatever you want from Russia? It was not. Instead, the criminal statutes were left up to individual states if they wanted to choose to prosecute. So all of these things like freezing funds and assets, travel bans, arms embargoes, okay, However, enforcement has been the responsibility of individual member states. So do you think that where is he? Do you think that this guy, Orban, was enforcing any sanctions at all? You know, or in places like Slovakia, for example? Hell no. Absolutely not. Yeah. So these sanctions, really, they actually didn't exist. They didn't exist. Okay. So the new law seeks to rectify this by setting consistent definitions for violations, uh, such as not freezing funds, not respecting travel bans, doing business with state-owned entities of countries under sanction. Additionally, it will make providing financial services or legal advisory services in violations of sanctions a punishable offense. So this directive, it just passed. Okay. I'm not sure when it goes into effect, but I have to tell you that we've been wondering. Many of us have been wondering why did Trump meet with uh why did Trump meet with Orban now? So this has been the little, sort of a question that's been going on. And I have a feeling that, of course, fucking Orban came all the way to Mar-a-Lago, Florida, to meet with Trump. For what reason? Couldn't they have a Zoom call? I mean, why did that have to happen? Well, they look like they just got out of bed together. They're wearing matching suits, God. And my theory was that, Trump has more than $500 million in money that he has to put up for his various civil and criminal prosecutions. He has to put up $464 billion. No, I'm sorry, million dollars for his fraud case in New York. Plus, I believe it's $91 million now. So he did post that bond for his defamation case, but he keeps defaming E. Jean Carroll, right? So he's going to have to pay more money inevitably. Where's he going to get that money? He doesn't have as much money as people say, and he doesn't want to. He may own a lot of properties around the world, but he doesn't want to lose his liquidity. He doesn't want to sell off his properties. He doesn't want to, use them as collateral for loans, because then he'll probably potentially lose his properties. Okay, so we know that Orban is getting money from Putin. We know it. Has done billions and billions of dollars. Okay, going to Hungary, but Orban basically uses the Hungarian government as his personal cash cow. That's why he's under scrutiny from the European Parliament. Now, this situation here with European Parliament votes to criminalize violation and circumvention of EU sanctions, that puts a serious time crunch on Orban's ability to get dark money, potentially laundered money, what have you, from Russia, from Vladimir Putin. I believe that Orban is not the only, but one of the main funnels of money from Putin to Trump. And the point of this meeting was, hey, pal, Donald, we better have a meeting and get this worked out right now, because the European Parliament is going to pass this law to actually criminalize my ability to send you money from Putin. So let's get together and talk about it. And we don't want to talk about it over Zoom or whatever, because we don't want anyone to know. All I can say is I hope to shit that that Mar-a-Lago is bugged like crazy by the FBI. By now it should be. It should have been totally, completely bugged. Every table should have like 10 listening devices under it. So I think that this will come out in the wash eventually. But will it happen before Trump gets elected? Will it happen before World War III happens? Or will we find out about it 10, 20, 30 years from now and read about it in our history books? Like the Molotov-Ribbentrop Act was hidden. I have no doubt that these secret agreements are happening. And the price of this agreement coming from Putin, okay, through Orban, was for Trump to come out and say he won't give a penny to Ukraine. All that does is help Russia, because it makes other countries want to throw up their hands and say, well, we're not going to throw good money after bad, so we're not going to help Ukraine either. If Trump is going to get elected, and so, I mean, Putin's money is to make sure that Trump gets elected. And Trump's response through Orban, all of this is going through Orban, right? Trump's response through Orban of he won't give a penny to Ukraine is helping Putin win the war. It's a quid pro quo, pure and simple, just out in the daylight. We can see this happening. I'm sure that Trump, given the fact that still a large percentage of the Republican electorate is pro-Ukraine, Trump has not come out and specifically said himself that he would not give a penny to Ukraine, that he would not. He has just said he would negotiate and he would make it stop within 24 hours, blah, blah, blah. He hasn't come out and said that himself. But Orban just did it for him. That's probably the deal that Trump made. He probably said, listen. Okay, I'll agree to this, but you have to say it. Don't. I don't want to be quoted, because I'll still lose some Republican votes over this. But if you give me the money, I will win and I will make this happen for you. I'm sure that's what's happening here. Yeah. So something blonde. Yeah. Project 2025. They have a whole plan to end American democracy. That's right. The same thing that Trump is doing with the RNC. Yeah. This one here. Okay. Where they basically cleared out the Republican National Committee. Everybody who's not a Trump dick sucker is out. It's the complete. It's the same thing that Orban did with his party. Okay, with right-wing politics, he just. Yeah. So right, Cheryl, you make a very good point. Trump always phrases things so people can read into it whatever they want to hear, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to, kind of change it around so that when he says it, people can believe what they want, and they'll be able to make excuses. So, but Trump they're getting lined up. They're planning to fire as many people as possible in our federal government and replace them with, extreme right-wing MAGA Trump appointees at every level. They're talking about like 20,000 or more employees in the federal government at all levels that they want to, so that the U.S. government will be, in service to Trump, a dictatorship. That's what we're looking at, guys. So the fight for Ukraine is, we're fighting the same fight on all in all of our countries. Okay. Each and every country that, if you're in Australia, if you're in obviously Poland, France, England, all of these, the far right and the far left are they're useful idiots at best. Anyway, it's been a long time since I've seen this. This is, I think, Denmark, tiny ass little Denmark, gave more to Ukraine this week. A $300 million defense aid package for Ukraine. There have been some. I will hand it to the U.S. Defense Department. There have been some very busy accountants. It's very interesting how this happened. So they, quote unquote, found this $300 billion. It says the new package was made possible thanks to unanticipated cost savings in contracts that the Pentagon negotiated to replace equipment already sent to Ukraine through previous drawdowns. So we've said this many times before. The value of the equipment being sent to Ukraine is not the value that they're giving, that they're saying it is. Okay, because they're valuing the equipment like these 50-year-old M113 APCs. For example, like this thing, right? These guys, these are from before the Vietnam War. And so these are not worth the full price, I'm sure. Whatever they were basically just about to be decommissioned. The U.S. is actually saving money by giving them away to Ukraine. So yeah, it makes perfect sense that they would scrounge around and find this extra money. Again, what about the EDA? What about the excess defense articles? Are you telling me that all that they could find was 300 million? I don't think so. But it's good. Okay, large number of artillery rounds, GMLRS rockets, and HIMARS launchers. That's great. That's fantastic. But 60, it's nothing compared to the 60 billion, which is, to me, is a minimal amount that needs to come to Ukraine. Okay. And so now this is from March 7th. I understand that I've heard in the last 24 hours. Let's see here. Where do I have it? Yeah. Discharge petition came out today. So this is from yesterday. It's already got 70 votes. So I guess, it's my understanding that this originally the Republicans wanted to issue this. I'm sorry, the Democrats wanted the Republicans to put out this discharge petition. They wanted it coming from the Republican Party. Okay, come on, James. What the hell? They wanted it coming from the Republican Party for political reasons. But they couldn't make that happen, so the Democrats issued it. So now once this gets up to a majority vote, I believe, once they vote on or I'm sorry, maybe I don't completely understand how the discharge petition works, but frankly, we're looking at a minimum of 30 days before the discharge petition, before they can bring this issue to the floor. That's the deal. So that means we're looking at the middle of April at the earliest. At the earliest, the middle of April. Probably longer than that, because they'll have to negotiate it. They'll have to do so. I mean, and Jake Broe made a very important point, and I've talked about this, I believe, last week, that Mike Johnson is trying to encourage Republicans to propose their own legislation with regards to military funding for Ukraine. And that's a trap. That's it's a poison chalice, if you will, because the way American legislature works, the bill will have to go from if it's different from the bill that the Senate already passed, then it'll have to go to the Senate to be approved as well. And that's another delay, and it's questionable if it's going to pass with the same level again. So it's just delaying and delaying and delaying. And Mike Johnson, just like Trump, he's got to be under Russian thumb, under the Russian thumb somehow. That's all I can say about it, really. And that's the crazy thing is, right? Our national security budget, total national security budget, is more than $1 trillion. Yeah, thank you, Gregory. That's a very good point. What I don't get is why none of the Republicans that have already said they are retiring and they support Ukraine, why they didn't sponsor the discharge petition. Oh, and there's 2 dueling discharge petitions going on? Oh, great. Fantastic. Christ almighty. So we've got just the Department of Defense, $849.8 billion. Now, Russia's defense budget, I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I think it's $160 billion total. I mean, what are we spending that money for, if not for this situation, for just exactly this situation? Like, how many, and I talked about this last week, like thousands and thousands of those M113 APCs are just sitting in storage facilities, rotting away. Thousands of tanks, thousands of artillery vehicles. What are we going to use them for? We're not using them for anything. Are we going to get invaded by China somehow? Are we going to use these APCs in Taiwan? We're not going to use them. Get rid of them. And the same thing with, like, frankly, like Catherine, if you're still here, the whole issue with the taipans in Australia, where that they're burying in the desert, right? I want to talk about that because there was here we go. These things, they're still sitting out there, in a warehouse. and they just don't understand the urgency. I just saw a debate in the Australian Parliament legislature about these taipans, and questioning the Department of Defense there about, like, why aren't you sending these to Ukraine? And they're like making excuses. Well, it's not really fit for purpose, and they break down a lot. And so what? You know, so okay, maybe 40% of them work, but 40% is better than 0%. You know? Okay, right. Um, because we have to look at the fact that we are already in a world war. Okay, China, Russia, and Iran are doing joint naval exercises together in the what, not the Red Sea, the Gulf of Oman. Okay, they're actively training together to fight who? To fight us. Okay, so we gotta, like, wake up. Um, all right. I want to take a minute this morning. It is morning for me here. First of all, I want to let you know that if you didn't already, I have a website. It's whyukraine.myshopify.com. These are supplies that are desperately, desperately needed. I know it looks ridiculous, wet wipes and soap, but these are supplies that are desperately, desperately needed by the International Legion for the defense of Ukraine. That literally, the commander messaged me over the weekend and said, James, we're out of soap. We've got a bunch of guys in training, and they can't wash their damn hands. They desperately need this stuff. It seems ridiculous, but it's true. I was able to find like 5-liter bottles of hand soap and 5-liter bottles of dish soap for a much cheaper price than I did the last time. So $3 buys 5 liters of hand soap, guys. This is actually a picture right here. This is actually a picture from inside the barracks. Okay, everything that the International Legion gets, except for weapons, comes from donations, and their donations have dwindled to almost nothing since last summer. Okay, I have a fundraiser here for like a kit, just basically everything that a soldier needs, helmet, all of that. Right now, I have waiting for me at the local post office here 2 sets of plates and 2 plate carriers. Okay, so somebody contributed $50 towards this. I've only had one donation towards that. I'm going to use that $50 towards the plates and plate carrier today. All the rest of this stuff, I mean, soldiers who come to Ukraine, if they're part of the regular Ukrainian army, then they might get issued this stuff. But if they're part of the Legion, that's not a guarantee at all. Okay, that's not a guarantee at all. Most of the time, they might get the very, very basic hand-me-down crap, and once they get their first paycheck, then they have to buy all their own kit. Okay, they desperately, desperately need tourniquets. They desperately need drones. So I've got a fundraiser here for drones, and so far one person has donated $10. This is the absolute cheapest viable drone I could find. Recommended to me by a drone operator, Big Mac of Big Mac's, Joe McDonald of Big Mac's Battle Blog. You know, I mean, nobody has money right now. Everybody spent, everybody spent too much over Christmas. So I want to talk about really what you can do if you don't have money to spend. Okay, because a lot of us are just tapped out, and that's perfectly legitimate, perfectly reasonable. Here's what you got to do. Get some friends together. Not to even to raise money for Ukraine, just to talk about Ukraine. Okay, have a maybe a raffle giveaway. If one of you wanted to, in your hometown or city, organize a small social event. Yeah. Something where you're going to maybe have a potluck and a raffle. Right? Let me know. We can work on it. If you're a member of the YouTube channel, we can work on it on the Discord. Plan it out. What I'd like to be able to do is send you something from Ukraine, maybe like a signed flag from a unit, or something handmade in Ukraine. Something like a larger version of this thing here that my wife made. Let's see. There we go. My wife made this for me the other day. It's an embroidery thing. Something like that. Just a nice gift that people could come to, a little potluck. You have a raffle. If you've never done something like that before, it's something that it's remarkably easy to organize a social event for something like that. Especially now, it's getting to spring. It's getting warmer. People are coming out of their shells. You can go to your local church, or go to your local, maybe there's like a peace and justice center, or VFW hall, which is a great place in your town or village, city, whatever, and say, hey, I'd like to have, a benefit social event for Ukraine here. Or just, have 4 or 5 people come over to your house and sit around. Yeah, a nice cross stitch. Okay. It doesn't have to be big. It could be if you wanted. If you want to have a big event, I mean, like with 100 or more people, the best thing to do is to find a band. Find a band that will play for free. Okay. Also, to support Ukraine. If you know somebody who has a band, doesn't matter what the music is, if it's jazz or death metal, and say, hey, we want to have this event to support Ukraine. Would you like to come play at our event? Lots and lots of bands out there will jump at the chance to play a gig. And it's amazing. I've done this. Okay. And then, everybody who sign, what will happen with the band, it's amazing, is they will find people. They will go out and pass out flyers for you, put out invitations online to try to get as many people to come as they possibly can. And I mean, I've done this impromptu within 2 weeks, organized 100 people, 300 people events for all kinds of different things. Could be in a park, just in a public park. You could do something like this. You don't even need a special venue if the weather's decent where you are. Start getting people together in a social way Not in a way that says, "Oh, you have to pay money." Not in a way that says we require anything from you. Just to get together and talk about Ukraine and put Ukraine on the map in people's minds. You know, if you would be willing to do that, I'll help in whatever way I can. What I'd really like to do, what I'd love to do, is let me know where you are and when it's going to happen. I will reach out to people I know in the States who are veterans of Ukraine. Okay. Whether just volunteers or in in the Legion. So people who can come to your event and talk about Ukraine, kind of as a you know a main speaker, if you will. People can ask questions. What's it like there? What's really going on? You know, and that really provides that intense personal connection. Something blonde, great, thank you. I've got a band and villa where we have events in the diplomatic community. I plan to start in January, but was too ill. I can do one next month. That's great. I'm sorry you were ill. I know what that's like. Yeah, so if you'd be willing to do that, uh, I will help in whatever way I can, and you'd be surprised what we can put together. It's pretty amazing, and you can have a raffle, like a fundraiser raffle. I'll arrange, to have something really cool from Ukraine raffled off, and what we if you want, we can put me on the if you have a digital projector, we can have like a Q&A. People can ask questions. If you can't find any other guest speaker, if we can't, I'm happy to do that as well. But this is how we have to. I know that it's in the middle of the presidential campaign season, so people are already doing a lot of these things. That may seem like it's like a difficult thing, but it's actually really easy to combine a pro-Ukraine. You could have Republicans for Ukraine or Democrats for Ukraine. People are already starting to think about that and think along those lines. So, or Democrats and Republicans for Ukraine. You can combine it with political activity if you want. But make it a fun, fun social event. Have food and music, and people will come. And whatever you do, don't pay a bunch of money for a venue. And if the band wants money, tell them I'm sorry. we can't do that yet. Not the first time. Maybe the second or third event that you have, you could think about that. But that's how to do it. So, if that's something that you want to do, please get on my Discord. Join my membership. The only way I have for people right now to join my Discord is to do a membership. And the reason I have it set up like that is because of trolls, Russian infiltrators, trolls, and bots. Something blonde. Yeah, you don't need to be in the US, wherever you are. I mean, it's in every country I want to do this, so it's $1.99 on YouTube to join my Discord. I'm going to actually set it up very soon. I'm setting up a way so that everybody who has purchased something from this website can also get access to the Discord. So it's a way to qualify people to prevent just random hackers and anyway. So if you've never joined Discord before, or if you're not sure how to join the Discord and you have a membership, in the members only, I just made a members only post last night about how to do this, because I've had multiple and like Catherine and KK's GG, I know you've had some questions about this. So I posted here directions about how to connect your YouTube membership to Discord so that you can join the Why Ukraine Last Alliance Discord server. And so there's directions here. So basically, you go in to Discord, and you'll see an icon for YouTube, and it'll ask you to log into your YouTube. And as soon as you do that, it'll show all of the servers that you can join based on your YouTube memberships. So there's that. And if you have any other questions about it, please feel free to ask here, or put in the comments, or even one person sent me an email about it. I see Mr. Bryden is not here today, but he sent me an email with some really great ideas. So hopefully next live stream we can talk about that, because I think it's really interesting. You'll notice that I'm putting out. So if you're frustrated with my shorts, with my short videos lately, like this one, for example. Let me explain what I'm doing here. I am trying to break through the pro-Ukraine bubble, because I know that there are millions and millions of Americans who support Ukraine. They're just not watching my live streams, or any, they're not on YouTube or they're not, watching YouTube long form videos. They might be watching short form videos, but YouTube feeds people based on their interest, and all of these platforms do, right? Instagram, whatever. And so I'm trying to just pop through those algorithms and say, hey, hello, Ukraine's still here. And I mean, it's amazing. This video got me 25 subscribers and 100% likes. So people, and it's so stupid, I just wrote the word support Ukraine on with. So I apologize if these videos are annoying to you. You don't have to watch them. But that's my purpose, and that's the purpose of what I'm doing there. Is to kind of, and I'm experimenting with different ways. 12, like 4,000 people watched this one stupid little video, and it's gotten positive response. Ultimately, if it gets positive response or negative response, whatever it takes to break through that algorithm bubble, is really super important to me. So I apologize. Today is maybe a little bit of a short live stream, but I want to thank everybody who's here. Thank everybody for coming. And I think I may do another live stream. I don't know. I have some extra time this week, so I'll definitely do another live stream Friday night, Saturday morning my time. But I might do another one in between. We'll see. So with that, I just want to thank everybody who came, and please support Ukraine in whatever way you can. До побачення.